Live once again, ladies and gentlemen, live once again. I want to welcome you back to the True Seekers Live podcast. We're talking about Deion Sanders today. Some of y'all know him by Neon Deion. He was a very, very, very popular sports athlete of the 90s. And today we're talking about whether or not he's a sellout. This issue seems to be really dividing the black community within and outside of the community, because other people are talking about this speculatively and saying, well, is he, a sellout for leaving the small guys behind, the little guys behind? But we as black people are talking about things for a different reason, and we're speaking about it from a point of view or perspective or a vantage point of a common issue that we see within our people and amongst our people. I want to welcome you today to the True Seekers Live podcast. My fans are going to be running hot. They're going to be running loud today. So if this audio sounds a bit different, it's because I have so many tabs open that my fans need to automatically turn into performance mode to ensure that my computer stays at a regulating temperature. I apologize for that from the get-go. Make sure that you donate and support the channel if you can. I want to once again thank everybody for supporting and donating to the channel. If you get a second, head on over to gotserum.com. Gotserum.com is your number one site for everything bath and body natural. We're running all kinds of specials right now, holiday specials and packages for you and the family. Gotserum.com is going to be shipping out, and I'll have the previewed images for you on the community tab. Our new package that we're going to be offering. We have new flavors. We have a lot of stuff coming up for you. This issue has been really polarizing in the black community, and a lot of people feel very interestingly divided on these topics, or this topic of Neon Deion. So where do we start in the story? Well, I tagged Anton Daniels because Anton Daniels has shown me a lot of love on this channel. He's shared the channel, and you don't get that a lot on YouTube where the big guys share the little guys, because this is a dog-eat-dog world. This is a dog-eat-dog platform. This is a dog-eat-dog lifestyle. Whether you're Neon Deion Sanders looking for the next best coaching gig, or you're little old Jonathan Wilson trying to just make a little small niche for himself on YouTube and build something that could be something in the future. Arguably, we could say that's what Neon Deion is saying, but I don't know. We're going to leave that decision to you at the end of the video. By the time you get to the end of this, whether you're on the side of the fence that he's a sellout or he's not a sellout, I want you to comment your reason below, and I'll do my best to respond to you. So I had Anton Daniels, and check out Anton Daniels' YouTube channel. If you're watching on the audio right now, or on the video right now, we have Anton Daniels on the screen. This is his channel here, his second channel. This one's called The Millionaire Morning Show with Anton Daniels. And on this one, he discusses a lot more politics, a lot more sports things, and he kind of goes off topic on different things that, he can't necessarily talk about on his regular channel, but more pop culture, more rap, more hip hop, a little bit of politics. And he's been discussing the entire Deion situation. He's coming at it from the perspective that I think a lot of people who have done well for themselves here in America, and who have, pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, who have taken those steps necessary in order to get wealth or build economic freedom or opportunity or whatever it might be in America. He's coming at it from that perspective. And I want to first and foremost say that before we go ahead and start talking about this, I'm showing Anton respect and showing his platform respect once again, because he shared my channel, and very, very, very few people do that, because this is such a vicious competition on YouTube. Make no mistake about it. It is absolutely vicious. He's one of the truest people that I've seen on this platform. I don't agree with everything he says, obviously, but even in disagreement, I hope that going forward, this can be an example of guys, brothers, men, black men, being able to have and argue or maybe articulate differences that we don't all agree with. So, we're going to get to Neon Deion's highlights. We're going to get to what he means to that program. We're going to get to why black people are so affixed with this, are so perplexed by this. We're going to get to a lot of these different issues. If you're watching the screen right now, and I apologize for the ear destruction right there, what you're seeing on your screen is Neon Deion Sanders at Jackson State. And one of his players quite literally is crying while Neon Deion Sanders is talking to his player. He's motivating this cat that you see, this young brother. He gives him a hug. We're going to pause right there. This young brother gives him a hug. His name on the back of the jersey reads Hunter. Mr. Hunter gives Deion Sanders a hug, and on the back of his helmet, I want you to read what it says. It says, "I believe." This is something that Deion Sanders brought as a mantra to this school. Regardless of whether or not you fall on one side of the fence or the other, I want you to know that Deion Sanders has been looked at or seen in this particular instance as a very, very, very integral and crucial part of this historically black college university's program. What is a HBCU? If you're maybe not a part of the community or you just haven't heard about these terms or why this is so important and why it's in the news as much as it is, a HBCU is pretty much a college or an organization of colleges that was started because black people didn't have the opportunity to go to acquire college degrees, which were initially or at one point made to keep certain people out of certain job levels. The requirement necessary of having a 4-year accredited college degree or certificate to back your name saying that you knew what you were talking about wasn't available to all races of people at a certain point in time in America. Go figure, right? So what black people did was they figured out a way to get their own system and their own education because there were other groups of people in the universe or in the Americas who didn't want to educate with black people. Right, so we had to start, and black people did start HBCUs, and here we are today. So Mr. Hunter is hugging. He goes to a HBCU college, and he is on the sideline hugging Deion Sanders. Now, if you don't know anything else about football, know that if you go to a university that's a HBCU, then or a junior college or whatever it might be, you probably, and if you're playing sports and things of that nature, you probably have some sort of interest in being taken to the next level, which would be professional sports or possibly Division I college sports, which this entire conversation is being based around right now. It is your best interest to go to the best college possible if you're interested in actually trying to make it to a certain level. What is the best college possible? Well, that's somewhat of the subject of discussion today, because the groups of colleges known as the HBCU were being risen in stock value quite massively, but Deion Sanders deciding to brand and make his appearance, or with him deciding to instill confidence and belief in the HBCU, the historically black college university's sports system. So players respected Deion Sanders to a level of which we haven't actually seen, and this is the cat crying right now as he embraces what probably arguably is the last time that he actually hugged Deion Sanders. What we saw was something in Deion Sanders that was more than a coach, right? And this is why this is so big of an issue, because certain people have boiled this down to money and financial equity. And this is the problem within the black community. We talk about money and value and this, and that. But the main crux of it is that value is still not understood. We still tie value to a monetary. We still tell people, hey, go ahead and get your bread. And I'm not saying this is Anton, but this is what Anton's take is. We're going to get to the Anton's take in 1 second, because once again, huge respect to Anton. Huge respect to Anton. But I disagree with what he has to say there. And I do try and say that, honestly, as respectfully as humanly possible. I do try and say that, y'all. And I know that people can be quite whatever it might be. But just hear me out, okay? I say that completely respectfully to Anton Daniels. Much respect. This picture that you're looking at now is the first hire that Deion Sanders has actually made at the university. This is the new, I believe, offensive coordinator. He is a head coach now at the Colorado University. For how long? Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. Make sure you're leaving a like as you come into the building, ladies and gentlemen. It's 1:26 in the great state of Texas. I know I've been MIA for the past couple of days. My sleep schedule is changing. I'm getting old now, which means that I go to sleep earlier. I've been falling asleep at 9 o'clock for the past few nights. Now, I do wake up periodically, in the middle of the night. I check the surroundings of my crib. I look outside. I check the locks, make sure they're not tampered with. Go on the balcony, make sure I don't see any random, rabid squirrels or raccoons or anything. I didn't even mean to be, you know what I mean. I'm talking about literally animals here. I'm not talking about people. Somebody could be like, he's calling black men raccoons. No, I'm literally talking about, I check everything. And so I've been going to sleep earlier, sleeping throughout the night, but this disturbed me. Let's go ahead and get into this video with Anton Daniels discussing and talking about Deion Sanders and black people. All right, black people. Leave a like. Thank you to all channel contributors. I love you all. Thank you to the best mods in the world, Organic Black, Dinah Prince. Seeking Him Daily, do you want to be a mod? Let me know if Seeking Him Daily wants to be a mod, please.
Comments, both on Twitter, Instagram.
By the way, I'm going to have to run this in less HD because my computer is screaming right now. If you enjoy the show, y'all, donate to the Cash App. Truth Seekers. It's at the bottom right of your screen right now. Support the show. Support this. You get more shows. You get better quality content because I can buy better quality equipment. Need to buy more equipment once again. Looks like y'all are enjoying some of the content. If you do, send a small donation over. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Deion Sanders comments both on Twitter, Instagram, and on videos on YouTube to see what the sentiment is of the people when it comes to their opinion on Deion Sanders, right? And him leaving the program and then joining Colorado, right? Now, let me give you a little bit of details for those of you that have been living under a rock. So he is a winning coach at Jackson State, again, which is an HBCU. That is an important detail. And he makes about $300,000 a year now. Somebody told me yesterday in my comments when I was doing a breakdown of it that he donates half of his salary, and I'm not sure where he donates it to, but he donates half of his salary, right?
So the video paused right there for an ad break, so we're going to go ahead and pause right there as well. I'm not sure if he donates half of his salary or not, but according to what Anton just said here, it looks like he does, or at least he's heard that he does donate half of his salary. So whether or not we know or that's true, I'm going to go ahead and just say that that's incredible, and that also kind of lends a little bit more to our point, which is it's not really even about the money, it sounds like, if he's donating half of his salary, right?
Right. The other part of the story is that he's transitioned from making $300,000 a year to the equivalent of $5 to $6 million a year with a guaranteed, partially guaranteed, depending on if he was to leave or not, then he would have to pay a penalty as a result of it, but a partially guaranteed contract of roughly $30 million. Now,
what is a partially guaranteed contract? Does anybody have that term for me? I'm not familiar with that term. Does that mean that partial of the 30 million is guaranteed? What is that partiality? Is the next best question, or the next lineup of question, or the next logical question in my mind. What portion of that $30 million is he guaranteed to keep? And we're going to talk about this later, of the concept of being a king in your own house versus serving in another man's castle. It's just a term that I made up. So if you start seeing that all over the internet, then make sure that they give me my credit, okay?
Depending on if he was to leave or not, then he would have to pay a penalty as a result of it. But a partially guaranteed contract of roughly $30 million. Now, there's a crabs in a barrel mentality, and it always will be, specifically among black people. And I don't see this, right? And I talked to people yesterday specifically. Like, I tapped into my friends from all different cultures, Indian, Asian, white people, a bunch of different cultures, and I wanted to get the sentiment before I did this video. And that does not happen amongst other cultures. When you level up, when you win, when you become more successful, when you make more money, it is celebrated, it's congratulated.
So his point is, kind of, twofold. Obviously, right now we're in a very politically charged arena and environment. What do I mean by that? Well, politically charged by that, certain lives matter, this, and that. There's no escaping that right now in this day and age, that there's a lot going on in between the races. And once again, I just want to really make sure that we stress the fact that when we're talking about Deion Sanders in this particular instance, we're talking about collegiate football, a historically black college or university, and football players coming off of the heels of what was pretty much the biggest movement, or one of the biggest movements of, black awareness, if you will, or black injustices that the NFL's kind of gotten behind, and this, and that. And so, in my opinion, this could have really been an opportunity for the HBCU football programs to be able to step up with recognition in professionalism in this and that, because the topic of black football players or black men was very prominent in society. And I know that we talk a lot about the fallacies of, protecting black men and coddling black men and this and that, and how it's really does a lot more disservice to a certain extent. But if we're going to go ahead and use that tone of rationale, because there's a lot of people that do really think that, hey, we're anti-black on this channel, and we hate black men, and we hate this and we hate that. If we're going to go ahead ahead and use that, tonality that, it's so bad and that, it's really, we need to really focus on that. What Deion Sanders is more in line of what we say, right? Which is that we joke about black people getting money and leaving the hood. We joke about getting money and moving out of the hood. We joke about it all the time. We make movies about it. Even though we surround ourselves with Snoop Dogg, if you can watch on the screen right now, he's surrounding himself with Snoop Dogg as he gives a prep talk to his players in the locker room. You have to understand, they're like, man, we got Deion Sanders. This was something finally black men could take a little bit of treasure and honor in. We have Deion Sanders that's a part of the HBCU movement. Well, not for long. Not for long. Not for long. I wish I had my bomb. I need to get a stream deck. Not for long. Deion is laughing his way to the bank right now. And once again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get your money, okay? I'm not saying that you shouldn't be partying still with Snoop Dogg, right? And things of that nature. But hip-hop came together. Yellow Beezy you see on the screen right now flexing all of his diamonds and chains. There was a lot of people that came together for this movement and that really honestly felt like, man, this is it, This is awesome right here. We have a chance to finally elevate, and make no mistake about it. The news articles pointed this out, and they actually did refer to it. Check this out. This is on theguardian.com. Theguardian.com said Sanders' impact went far beyond Jackson State in his 3 years there. After all, he boosted the local economy and awareness of Jackson's college and high schools. He shone a light on Jackson's water crisis, which forced a shutdown of schools, colleges, and businesses. Earlier this year, Sanders' team survived an on-bottle water donations, and lived in a hotel because of the water crisis. That cost $15,000 a night. Isn't money Jackson State keeps lying around? Wow. Okay, so apparently this water crisis they were having cost the school $15,000 a night for the hotel team to stay there. How can we go out there, dominate like that, and take a child back to something that is shut down? You have no water, he said after the Tigers season opener. You can't even flush the darn toilet. You have to think about that stuff. So listen, this is apparently the situations and the crisis that Deion Sanders was coaching in. The team didn't have water for a good amount of time. That is something to say. That is something to say right there. Not only did Sanders appear to have been invested in reviving the HBCU's reputation for grooming pro talent like Walter Payton, who went to Jackson State, Jerry Rice, who went to Mississippi Valley State, and Shannon Sharp. If you're not a football person, those are all legendary football players. Coach Prime was fully engaged in the bigger, much trickier job of creating self-sustaining black communities. That he had come so far in a short period of time heightened expectations, right? There was still so much work he didn't get to do because Sanders, reputation aside, kept cracking on. Right. By staying at Jackson State, Sanders could have become bigger than he was ever as a two-sport twin Super Bowl winning double football Hall of Famer. That is a big point that we're going to cover a little bit later on in this live stream, which is the concept that I talked about, being a king in your own house versus serving in another man's castle. But once again, what we can take from this entire news article at a quick glance is that Deion Sanders was bigger than just a football coach. I got a bit of a monologue, and we're going to look at a few more videos. If you're looking at the screen right now, we have Deion Sanders as he's getting ready to enter, or as he's giving his first speech, it looks like, at the University of Colorado.
He's an incredible family man. I've gotten to know him over the last month, and couldn't be more excited that he's your new head football coach. So with that, I'm going to have Coach Prime come up here and say some words and spend some time with you guys, but let's give him a big Colorado Buffalo welcome.
Holy audio. Jesus. Okay, let's cut that for a second. What we're going to do now is we're going to go back to his first speech that he gave to the team as he was leaving them. Make sure that you leave a like on the way in, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go back to Deion Sanders' speech to the team as he was preparing them to leave. Oh, as he was preparing to leave them, rather.
Real kind with your black snap with your earring in you. I'm real kind right now. I'm real kind right now. Y'all good. Y'all good. This is said y'all won. You won. You good. We kick back. We kick back. We won. Okay, down for the nitty gritty. I know y'all been hearing the rumors and everything that's been transpiring around about my whereabouts and what I'm going to do. And I like for y'all to hear it from me and not from anyone else.
That dude beside him looks like Shiggy. Like, that looks just like Shiggy. That's crazy.
It is what it is. Either in coaching.
It is what it is, bro. It is what it is, my nigga. Hey, he told y'all off the bat. He told you right there what it was. Hey, it is what it is, man. He knows what it is. We all know what it is. Let's be honest. All right? Hey, it is what it is. We just don't got the money or the nicer stuff. All right? We know that.
You get elevated or you get terminated. Ain't no other way. You either elevated or terminated. And it ain't no graveyard for coaches where they die at the place. It don't work like that.
Now, I want to go ahead and I disagree with him right there. He said there's no graveyard for coaches for them to die at that place. That's not true. Coach Krzyzewski, Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, he died at Duke's college coach. Tommy Knight, Coach Knight died at Texas Tech. His son coaches at Texas Tech now, Bobby Knight. We played him, UNT played him when I was going to UNT. The craziest game I've ever been to in my life. Yo, it was crazy. College games, if you get a chance to go to a college game, basketball game, you got to go. The energy and the atmosphere is amazing, man. There are coaches that coach legacy. Now, there are a few of them, but Deion Sanders, make no mistake about it, was on his way to being a legacy coach. I mean, if you look at the pictures of the posters that they have, just look at something like this. It's like you see he has the I Believe hoodie on at the very top right here. JSU, Jackson State University, they completely reinvigorated, revitalized the entire program. Do you think Jackson State was going to be firing Deion Sanders anytime within the next 30 years if he decided to stay? Realistically, think about that. So this is a disingenuous point that he and a lot of black people are using. Is you don't know what could happen with career security. No. What you are leaving at Jackson State is career security. You're leaving career security for the bag, right? Which I'm not saying it's one way or the other, but don't try and paint the picture for people who are trying to paint a certain picture of Deion Sanders in one light. Don't try and paint that picture of being one of complete and utter, well, of course we're supposed to level up and rise up. No, this is why black people don't have nice shit in the United States. This is why we'll always be at the bottom. We can't keep complaining in dualities that the community's bad, that this, and that this, and that we need work, that we need to start building, we need to start having more businesses, we need to start having more lawyers, we need to start having more doctors, we need to start having more mentors. We can't keep complaining about all that shit. When the second that we start building something minutely successful within the black community, like rap, minutely successful within the black community, like, I don't know, whatever else you want to say was infiltrated and bought out, you go buy out or you go sell out for the paycheck. What at one point are you going to be like, okay, well, you know what, let's go ahead and dig deep, and you know what, hey, that's $300,000 a year, but if he's donating half his money to the program, it's not about the money at that point. So what are we really saying right here? Does Deion Sanders need the money and let's go ahead and expand on the economical, okay? I'll go ahead and entertain it for a second, because I will say that, yes, as far as inflation rate goes economically on a micro and a macro level, making the $1 million or $2 million in the 80s or becoming a millionaire in the 80s and 90s, which Deion Sanders would have rose to prominence in the 80s and 90s, and then having or maintaining wealth in 2022 with the amount of inflation that we've kind of gone through is asking a lot. Yeah, the guys who were popular back then and at that particular moment in time are going to have to get a job, if you will, or to figure something out, if you will, right? Like there's going to have to be some kind of switch somewhere, some kind of give and take, because that transition of funds isn't going to keep up with inflation, right? So I get that he has to work, or that he has to do this, or that he has to do that. But when you say things like this, and I'm going to bring up this article here, all right? When you say things like, God called me to Jackson State, that's literally what he said. He said, God called me to Jackson State. I can't find the article right now. Now, he gave money to the school. He gave this to the school. He gave that to the school. He gave this to the school. Where else have we seen the concept of giving, and then the school's not able to actually maintain because they don't have this? Remember when we were talking about the farmers in South Africa? The black farmers in South Africa? And South Africa is going through apartheid right now. And they're going through like a lot of stuff right now, right? Because they want their land back. And so they're trying to take the land back from the white people, and they're kicking the white people out, and they're killing the white people because they want their land back. And so the white farmer finally, and y'all seen, the OGs on this channel have seen the video, right? The white farmer finally gives up the land, and they're like, whatever. And then the black South Africans can't run the land, so the farm starts falling to the ground, going into the complete ground. So These black people have been killing off all the white farmers. They've been doing this, they've been doing that, but they can't maintain the farms that the white farmers owned and could maintain. I say owned because I don't, we're owned in parentheses because I know how, a lot of us are. I know we all feel differently about that, right? I'm not here to argue that point. The point is when they finally got what they wanted, they couldn't maintain or keep it. So in one particular instance and case, they had to call back the white farmer that they kicked off and then bring him back to the farm to teach the farmers, the black farmers, and then they gave him partial ownership again because they realized they couldn't run the farm. So he came back and he was nice enough to teach them how to farm. Right. So when the resources were given in mass before the environment or the structure was in place necessary for the resources to actually be utilized in an appropriate manner, they weren't actually utilized or manifested in an appropriate manner, and they fell to deaf ears or fell on hard ground, if you will, because the leadership nor the knowledge of the expertise. Deion Sanders has been in the NFL. Most junior college kids are never going to get the opportunity to consult with an NFL or ex-NFL minded player, especially not a legend like Deion Sanders. Y'all, for the black people that are really sticking up for Deion Sanders right now, I'll be honest with you. This is the reason why we haven't had anything built in the last 500 years, because we're always looking for the next best and greatest. And I'll say this as well, for the brothers that are really out there and severe football fans and heard about this, what you're seeing right then and there and now is the same thing that you complain that women do, which is hypergamy. All right. That is hypergamy in all aspects of life. If you see it right there, if you don't agree with, certain aspects of dating or women going for the next best, brightest dude or yada, 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 then you can just observe the same course of nature, circle of life, if you will, always looking for the next best, greatest thing happening in so many facets and aspects of society. It's not just women that do it. It's all people that do it. And it's even people that'll do it and when they have a great opportunity at hand, just like you claim that the women do when they end up leaving in every single situation. I'm not here to argue this or that. I'm just here to tell you and show you the realities of this situation. Once again, he was upfront with the reality of what his plans were. And I'm going to go ahead and show this too. We're not going to watch this video, but somebody said that he was always upfront about his intentions and that he was there only for a short time or whatever it might be. It looks like these videos are refreshing quite quickly, so I can't respect that. But I said I'm not respected. I'm reading a video right now, so let's listen to this while we.
HBCUs are swag, and I know there's a lot of negative talk about this.
Did I listen to him before I came?
No, you didn't.
Did I listen to him while I was here?
No.
So you think I'm gonna make time in my life to listen to negativity? I'm too positive. I'm too progressive to buy into nonsense. I've never had time for it, and I'm not going to make time for it now. Yeah.
Wow. Does it bother you?
And for what?
Well, considering everything that you've done.
Because if I listen to the negativity, I'm giving that room to have, how can I put this? I'm giving that opportunity.
Deion, I hope it works out for you, bro. I hope that whatever that partiality is, Deion Sanders ruined a massive opportunity to build something more monumental than I think most people will ever really truly understand. Deion Sanders had the opportunity to turn college football completely around. And I think, to be quite fair and honest with you, let's go ahead and go into some conspiracy time, will you? Hey, do we have any, make sure we donate to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. If you're enjoying this broadcast, we need at least one donation. We need one donation to the channel. We need one super chat. I know out of the people watching, there can be at least one, even if it's just $1. Donate to the channel. We have to have one donation. We have to have one donation. One donation is not that much to ask for. Or you can go to godsam.com and make a purchase. By the way, thank you to everybody that's made purchases. They have been shipped. And you have special packages in the mail. We need one donation. Come on, guys. Support the channel if you're listening right now. Support the channel if you're enjoying this right now. These streams take time. This takes effort. If you're enjoying this, then support the channel. Send a Cash App, send a PayPal, whatever it might be. Support your community just like the white people, the Asian people, and the Mexican people support their community. This is why we always have people leaving the community. We know how to make money online. If you want to make money online, then you can join and talk crap about your people and your women in particular, or you can go ahead and just sell out your community. One of the two, but it's really hard to make within the community a lot of the times because there's so many options available for you, right? And in turn, you have to just kind of keep your head down and plowing and speaking the good word, right? And don't worry, you're going to win at the end of the day if you do that. I promise you. Skill and talent's always going to rise to the top. But thank you to everybody that's contributed and donated. Getting back to this, he's not really bothered by this. I don't know if y'all did y'all hear that? Did you watch how kind of he was like, listen, hey, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. And I mean, at the same time, we can kind of see in real time, sometimes it is harder to get support from your own people. Sometimes it is harder to get, hey, sometimes you do just got to go ahead and take the buyout because you're just not sure if there will be that, that true value of your work or that true value of who you are, what you bring or what you represent. I don't think that was the case in this particular situation because once again, Neon Deion gave a lot. Now, I want to say, and we're going to go back to Anton's videos in 1 second. I want to say that he built up the program. He did a lot. He did this and he did that. Maybe it was about the money. Maybe it wasn't. I know that if he fulfills a $30 million contract, I know that anybody, no matter how rich you are, if you have the chance to make $30 million, you're going to take that contract. If you're balling outrageous, though, and you're trying to do something, or at least you have some kind of purpose, then maybe you won't take the contract. I don't know. I don't know exactly. But let's check this out, see what else Anton has to say about this situation.
Champion it, but then they want to put forward your success and that
Hold on 1 second. Sorry.
you becoming successful doesn't affect them or hurt them at all. Actually, it could possibly help them, right? It creates a narrative. It breaks a barrier. Also, on top of that, when you attach yourself to certain people like that are successful, you ultimately become promoted as well, right? And so what I see happening here is an age-old story within the black community and black culture, right? Which is one of the reasons why I say the things that we celebrate the most is trash, or the things that outrage us or, pushes us the most is trash. Now, everybody was cool with Coach Prime as long as he was doing what they wanted to do, as long as he lived in their box. His options were limited, and nobody can understand or even looking to understand his vision for his own life, his own family. And nobody even asked him or was inquiring about whether or not, what it was that he was doing, what his interests were. The only thing that they cared about is having him live in his box. And it's happening with every single person that I've ever known to be successful. Every single person that I've ever known to be successful. The minute that you become more successful, unless you're a ball player of some sort, football, basketball, or you're an entertainer, such as a rapper, the minute that you become more successful, and even in those situations and circumstances, if you transition over from being an entertainer or a court jester, right, and then you become more articulate and you open up certain businesses and you become successful, or you align yourself with certain brands and all that other type of stuff, then you are a quote-unquote sellout. What is a sellout? I'm just curious. What is a sellout? Is a sellout a person that becomes more successful? Because a lot of people will tell you that a sellout is a person that then walks away from their own community in order to continue to champion and get a bag.
So I think that's an interesting question. I think that's a good question. What exactly is a sellout? Well, I think that a sellout would be somebody that might initially make it seem like they're deeply, deeply, deeply enshrined or, wrapped up in what you have going on, right? They might make you feel like they really truly got your back, or they're really truly with you and, down to ride and like, okay, it's us versus the world and this and that. And then the second they get an opportunity to possibly form bonds with another, team or, organization or whatever it might be, they're gone. And then they leave the old friends behind. There's an old saying, right? Keep new friends, but make the old one friend silver and the other friend's gold. Now, yes, this is business, but once again, certain people are talking about this on a business level, and then there's certain people are talking about it on a much more deep spiritual level, right? A much more deep spiritual level. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm just going to tell you about my limited knowledge of college football. And from what I've seen, it's this. These coaches are probably the most fired job title anywhere in like career choice, period. Football coaches are hired and fired more than anything. And Deion actually says this. We're going to get back to his interview because why not listen to what he has to say? But he does actually go forward and say this, right? He does say this. My point for saying that is, how much security does he really have behind the money if you can be gone at any time? If it's just a partial, I'd have to think that Colorado makes sure that they take care of themselves. You know what I mean?
We've done for some of y'all what we
And I'm going to say something after this in a little bit, and we're going to put on our conspiracy hats because it's going to be conspiracy hat time for sure. But was this a possible play? Was this a possible play to keep the HBCU from growing to a much higher level quickly? To keep the HBCU ranks from competing with the SEC or the Big 12 or competing with other much larger organizations? Did somebody say, hey, let's go ahead and just buy them out right now just so we can stop this momentum that's happening because it's going to take away from our ratings. It's going to take away from our recruits. Y'all got to understand, Deion Sanders was recruiting players from all around the nation. Some of the best players were playing and going there just because Deion Sanders was there, and they knew they'd have a better chance actually getting that one-on-one prime time, as he calls himself, prime, Coach Prime. They'd get that one-on-one prime time experience and knowledge needed because we know it's all about the money, or the knowledge. We know it's all about the knowledge, so about the money too. Make sure you donate. Nobody donated, so I hate y'all. Oh my God, we have one channel member join. Hey, shout out to the channel member joining. Listen, I don't hate y'all. I take it back. I love y'all. Okay, thanks to the channel member joining. If they didn't join, I hate you. I'm just kidding. I'm just completely kidding, y'all. But do donate though. So they knew they'd have a much better chance. This is why I don't know. I know that we can't all be rich, and this isn't a fairy tale type world. But I put something on my community post today. And I put the reason why the black community feels what they're feeling right now in every aspect of life is because in our current time, and currently why we feel the way we feel is because the men of days past didn't think about the future, right? So think about this. So the future in the past is current time, meaning that in 1970, those guys weren't thinking about 2022 or the effect that they would have on their kids' kids in 2022. So this continual perpetual mindset of, oh, well, he's just going to get his bag. I can't agree with that in all aspects. Some aspects, yes, I can agree with, but then other aspects I can't. It's not like he was being paid $50,000 a year, right? $300,000 is I'm not going to say it's not $4 million a year. It's not $4.5 million a year or $5 million a year. It's not. But I would be remiss in not saying that the sponsorship opportunities he'd have with Jackson State, the television opportunities, the reality, the clothing and the merch opportunities, there's so many more opportunities and leverage that he would have had living or being the king of his own house versus going to be a servant in another man's master's castle. Colorado is not going to give him the type of movement that Jackson State would have given him. Jackson State doesn't have the resources, yes, obviously, but long term, regardless of whether or not you think this is a good or right decision, this was not a smart financial decision. If he does not have a winning dynamic record within the first 2 seasons at Colorado, they are going to fire Deion Sanders as the head coach. Do y'all understand that? For the apologists that are, really defending him, they will fire that man more quickly than his meteoric rise to success. And it was only a meteoric rise to success because Jackson State gave him the opportunity. Colorado wouldn't have given them the opportunity had he had not shown himself or approved himself in the HBCU. I'm not saying that, once again, he needs to stay down there. But in the same token, in the same breath, when you have the opportunity that he had and the type of movement that he had, he fumbled the bigger bag. Okay? The odds of him having a successfully graceful collegiate career, all it takes is one major slip up, y'all, and that's it. At that level, when you get to that level, now when you could become a part of the grassroots organization, there's no way you can convince me that they would have tried to fire Deion Sanders. They went undefeated this year. What are we talking about? What are we really talking about here? A lot of missed opportunities. Now, going back to the not having water, the not having this, the not having that. Yeah, that's a pretty big issue. That's pretty serious. Well, why'd you take the job there in the first place is my question. Did Deion Sanders not know about anything that was happening? Did you just find out late that they had like severe issues? Right? right? You know what I mean? Let's go back to this video.
When we knew what kind of character, what is
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
we called and we asked your coaches, and when we knew what kind of character, what is it, and I don't want you thinking since you have the Jackson State awards on you that people are just gonna flock to you and they're gonna lace you like that. This is one of the best universities, I believe, certainly in FCS.
Wait a second. Hold on. Turn up the audio? Oh, okay. Man, y'all don't get no audio. Y'all ain't donating. Y'all listening. We're right where y'all are. What y'all talking about? Turn up the audio. All right. I'll turn it up a little bit. I'll turn it on. I love y'all. I do. Okay. Audio. Let me see.
That you could have an opportunity to play.
All right, hang on.
All the bells and whistles and these particular things.
This is such bullshit. I can't believe he's saying this shit.
I'm trying my best with this wonderful gentleman.
Hold up.
Help choose this next guy for you. My recommendation goes to TC. They know how I feel about TC. I want TC, and several of the staff members are going to be retained here. But
all right, it should be a little better.
I would love for someone in-house because I don't really know how y'all.
I know the computer's probably running a little slow right now, y'all. I know it probably is. I should take some of these tabs down. It's probably been running slow for the whole damn stream. Let me close that one out. Let me see. Okay. Let me go back to what he just said right here. This is some bullshit. This is some bull. Let me go back to what he said right here. Hold on.
TC, they know how I feel about TC. I want TC, and several of the staff members are going to be retained here.
Who the fuck is TC?
I'm
sorry. I shouldn't be cussing y'all. I'm sorry. I know y'all. I know some of y'all watching your kids. I'm gonna stop cussing.
I would love for someone in-house because I don't really know how y'all would act with somebody outside the house coming in to really not understanding how we function and how we get down. So that's my recommendation. So just clap it up for TC. Hope
Sorry.
that's how it goes down. But
all right, let me run this.
Be loaded, and they're gonna call and they're gonna ask, because that's what we've done for some of y'all when we were trying to acquire y'all. We called and we asked your coaches, and when we knew what kind of character, what is it, and I don't want you thinking since you have the Jackson State awards on you that people are just gonna flock to you and they're gonna lace you like that. This is one of the best universities, I believe, certainly in FCS.
So, if it's one of the best universities in FCS, then why are you leaving? Is my thing. If you feel it's so good and so prestigious, it's like just talking a bunch of smoke. It's a bunch of BS, man. A bunch of BS, and I just can't get with it. I just can't get with the entire notion of everything. I'll be honest, of everything. This video, it looks like they're pulling up. They're pulling up to the campus for the first time. It's like we got a behind the scenes look here.
Just came out of our practice facility. Yes, sir. 107,000 square feet.
Well, look at all the love between one of the board of advisors and Deion. Looks like they're really close, huh?
We just finished this facility in 2015. This is some of the history of Colorado football through here.
Well, he looks hella interested. For those of you who, I guess, just can't read context clues, if you look at the screen right now, let me back it up for y'all a little bit. Look at the screen right now. If somebody's looking at you, a bit side eye, I can't pause frame on the exact screen I'm trying to get. I'm just gonna play it really slow for you. We're gonna slow this down and play this on some super slow speed. If you just kind of watch right now and just observe the lack of, he's not even turned around. He's got his back to Deion. He's like halfway turned around, halfway kind of still showing his back to him. There's distance between them. This is the guy that he just hired as the head coach for the University of Colorado, and he could not be any more uninterested in Deion Sanders right now. Now, there's news crew and media and things like that there because this is a historic move, and Deion Sanders is a very big name in the football industry. But the lackadaisical, floppity hands, not really caring too much, monotone type voice and conversation, that shows me a lot right there. That shows me that I'm not particularly wanted or I'm not that valued. I mean, I'm sure that this is a football state and these are football guys and they're just no nonsense. I've played football, and here we're talking about Division I Colorado, the Colorado. So I understand this is the biggest university, one of the biggest football colleges, or this is a huge university. But still, at the same time, in the same breath, I would have to think that there's at least a bit more passion, maybe? I don't know. Passion, is that the right word? Am I tripping out on that? It just seems like he's just like, it's like another run-of-the-mill day. This is where we got this is where we put our things. We got some stuff here. We got some stuff over here. It's Hall of Fame people. This is your office. And once again, I know that this will be made out to be a straight black and white issue, and on some levels this is a black and white issue. I'll be quite fair and honest with you. It is a black and white issue. It is a black and white issue, and I pun intended, no pun intended, because in my opinion this is pretty clear. This is pretty clear, cut and concise. He was loved at one place and he's going to be utilized at another. And I personally myself, not all money is good money, y'all. I've experienced that. I don't know if y'all have ever had a job where you made more money, but you felt like you were just going to lose it one day. Have any of y'all been there where you walked into the office and it was like, man, these people, I'm about to lose it. These people are so high. Hi, yeah. Yeah. Hey, Mark. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's any second you get the chance to, you're plotting your escape. A lot of y'all have taken jobs for making less money because you've gotten more peace. A lot of y'all have done that. I've done that. I think all of us have been in the position where it's like, man, this isn't really worth the money. And the bad thing about that is that Deion was in a position to where he could be in that position. Or he was in a position to where he would still have been substantiated to some extent, right? $300,000, almost $500,000 a year. It's not a terrible salary. And then on top of all the recognition, branding deals, I don't know who his publicist was, but I would have been writing books at Jackson State. I would have been doing all kinds of stuff if I was Deion Sanders and making my freaking bread. About my media, about how I was able to turn things around. I would have been playing right into the black issues. I'd have been playing into everything. I'd have been like, no, we're going to use all this politics. You know what I mean? Like, you had the chance to cement yourself. By the time it was all said and done, Deion, you could have had a statue of yourself in stone on that campus for the rest of humanity to see and know your name until the end of the human race, or until the nuclear bomb started dropping and, from whatever for World War III. That could have been your legacy. And at a certain point in time, money starts to not really become everything, y'all. I mean, once again, going back to this thing, Anton said that he donated a lot of his salary and he did this and he did that. At a certain point, it becomes the diminishing profit or diminishing returns or value once you get to a certain level of money. Granted, I'm sure you could spend it all if you decide, but if you're speaking from values and if you're coming at it from a value perspective, then there's a diminishing return. If it's all about the bag and it's all about the money, then it's all about the bag. But don't go saying that God called you to coach at the university when you're going to be gone the next year. You can't do that. That is selling out. Okay? God didn't call you there. And then you're gone the next year. If God called you there, you're at least there for 5 to 10 years. If God called you somewhere, I mean, Jesus Christ, he just called you for that year. Is that it now? You know what I mean? Like, all right, y'all good now. It was been real, Jackson State. Bro, Bro, what are we talking about here? We can't have nothing. Let me introduce something to y'all. I was thinking about this, and all of a sudden I had an epiphany. Some of y'all watch basketball, baseball. Shout out to Mocha Mommy. If you look at the screen right now, what you're seeing is baseball in the Dominican Republic. If you don't know anything about the MLB, about half of the players in the national Major League Basketball. Well, he's wearing a national shirt. How's the timing on that, huh? In the National Major League Baseball League, in the MLB, about half of these guys don't speak English. And like a third of them come from the Dominican Republic. And this is where they train, okay? Let me get y'all to understand something. This is where they train to make it to the majors. Now, they're building up their country right now because a lot of these guys are in the majors, right? But there's still a fundamental belief in going to the very, very, very basic bare bones. And then the good guys, they have training facilities and things of that nature, yada, yada, yada. But on a grassroots level, you'll find talent even in the most basic bare bones element in the Dominican Republic. And then they train them up and they start to elevate them, yada, yada, yada. And then every once in a while, you'll still get the guys come back to these grassroots things and then pitch on the mound, yada, yada. Well, these guys are extremely talented. They end up a lot of them are going pro, and they're changing the economy of their country because so many of them go pro, right? So in about 50 to 100 years, most of the MLB is going to be Dominicans, Cubans, and those guys. And what you're going to start seeing is major league training facilities. You're going to start seeing a lot of buildings pop up over the next 50 to 100 years, probably the next 25 to 50 years, that are going to be focused around the MLB. You're going to start to see the Major League Baseball organization branding with the country of the Dominican Republic. This is why you're starting to see more Spanish commercials during baseball games. This is why you see more Spanish branded campaigns going on during baseball games, and this is why you might start seeing more Spanish commercials, period, because there's a need to integrate more Spanish people in society. And as a result of that, Spanish people, you already know, are very family oriented. They're going to look out for themselves a lot more. These are Afro-Latinos here, which is amazing to see in and out of itself. But Spanish people and the Dominicans and everybody else like that are going to start looking out for themselves a lot more because they're a lot more community-minded and community-oriented. Whereas we here in America, it's a dog-eat-dog world. You get what you can get while you can get it, and to hell with the rest of y'all. This is why we still have the hood. Once again, I understand the need for that to some extent, but also I understand the insanity of it. As we complain about not having certain levels of community in majority of the country, we also do ourselves a disservice by advocating for people that take away or that have the opportunity to give to their community, but because they have the chance to dig, a much more equitable hole for themselves, then we just like, oh, well, hey, it is what it is. You gotta go chase the bag. You gotta go do this. You gotta go do that. We're the only people that just chalk it up to chasing the bag 24/7. And no slight on Anton yet again, but every other community comes together and they'll stay together with the resources that they have, or they'll just dig in the trenches and build up, resources. Even if they decide to leave and become a doctor in a hospital or become a lawyer in whatever it might be, the lawyer and the doctor is going to come back and build a salon in the Asian community. They're going to come back and build a whatever in the Asian community. And it can be argued that or the Mexican community or the white community, it can be argued that he did that, because Anton said, and people have said that he donated for all the lights. And I think when I was looking at the actual interview with Deion talking about it, he was saying that we brought all this stuff in for y'all. We brought all these lights and we brought all this and we brought all that and this and that. And he was saying that as if like that was it. Hey, I did my part here. I brought all this stuff in for you guys as players. So now going forward, y'all be able to do this, y'all be able to do that. And it really rubbed me as more of a father that was not in the kid's life as much as he should have been in the life, but because he had such a good job and because he was able to pay for things all the time, he substituted by being with his children, by buying them things 24/7. That's kind of how it rubbed me when Deion Sanders was talking about that in reference to his players. Like, hey, look at all this stuff I'm leaving y'all. Look at we don't leave and just don't try and just jump ship from Jackson State because we did this for y'all, we did that for y'all, we brought in this, we brought in that. But meanwhile, it's like your dad saying, okay, well, hey, I'm gonna be back to come get you in 3 months. I'm gonna be back. We're gonna go on a vacation in 3 months, and when I do come back, make sure you're ready because I'm hella excited. And yada yada. And then you see him walk off, and you're like, well, if you're so excited about it, why aren't we just going on vacation right now? Why do I gotta wait 3 months to see you, Pop? A lot of y'all will really understand that as well, because you had that promise made to you too. And I'm not saying that Deion Sanders is these dudes' fathers. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying that. But regardless of whether or not you accept it, these dudes look at their football coach as their fathers, which is why you saw that kid hugging Deion and crying, because these kids, black men, black boys, black athletes, don't have the guidance to make it to a lot of the points. And if you want to go ahead and stand on that leg, that you as a black person don't have the abilities or the options, I'm not saying Anton Daniels is that leg, because Anton Daniels doesn't stand on that leg. Anton Daniels is like, hey, I made myself a boss, yada, yada, yada. So he's got, some, in my opinion, he's got some credentials there. But if you as a black person are going to be like, oh, go ahead and get your bag, then I don't want to hear any victimship. I don't want to hear any victim mentality about you not having your bag or you not being in your position that you need to be in. I don't want to hear any of it. Okay? You can't be for getting the bag and then against getting the bag in the same time. It's one or the other, right? It's one or the other. So that's another big issue I have. I have an entire monologue I didn't even read on this. I'm going to read my entire monologue right now. Make sure you donate to the channel. I appreciate anybody that donated. Don't think we have anybody that donated, but we had one new channel member, so I thank that. Okay? I've heard and I listened and I listened and I listened. I took a few days before I decided to cover this. Now that he's on the third leg of his career, Deion, like any man in his age, is looking to step up and elevate his career prospects to match his offerings as a coach, mentor, leader, and moreover, he's having the midlife crisis to some extent, which the effect tends to be strongest around that in a man's life when you've had some success, money, family over time, and the following career paths and choices after a certain time and moment tend to not be as financially equitable as they were once you get past, 50 or 60. Most men aren't making as much money in their 60s as they do in their 40s. Following the crisis, men tend to start making decisions that are less risky, more frugal, and they start to kind of lay things back, right? That's typically the way that things kind of go in that. Another transition from crisis is the sudden urge to leave a legacy behind, or a mark, or an imprint of yourself in the work that you've done for society. Any man worth his salt will tell you this, and it's the reason why communities are so effed of ours today, because there were no men who thought about the future in our days past. So Deion's going to eventually wake up and I believe have a crisis from this issue that he is kind of putting himself through and getting ready to go through. When things don't go right, God forbid, I hope they go right, but when things, and I'm not thinking that things are going to go right, I'm sorry, I'm calling it now, he's going to get fired in 2 years. I'm calling it now, he's going to get fired in 2 years. So when things do go wrong for Coach Deion Sanders, and he has that crisis and realizes the opportunity that he had to leave a mark on college football, the opportunity that he had to leave a mark on not just college football, but the world, the opportunity that he had to really change thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people's lives by bringing the attention to where it truly needed to be, where there was so much economic opportunity. Nobody's taking the time to develop HBCU football. There's billions of dollars in HBCU football, but of course we don't want to develop our own shit. We want to leave everything and go to the white man. As we continue to complain, I just don't get it. I just don't understand. I don't get it. This isn't about race, but at the same time, it absolutely is about race, because so often and so much of the time and the points are meant talking about race. Even in dating, it's a race issue. Even in dating, it's a race issue, because black men will compare black women to other races. It's always a race issue. So I don't want to hear anybody saying this isn't a race issue. I'm not even trying to demonize white people. The issue isn't white people in this instance. White people are always, and they've always stuck by themselves, and there are good white people in the world. But black people do not stick with black people. Yes. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I know the phone is doing I think my phone died, so we'll keep doing the podcast. My bad. I know the phone's dead. Hold on, I'm gonna check the camera 1 second. You can at least still hear me. Thank you to my wonderful, amazing girlfriend. Black people do not stick with black people. And that's the bigger issue we have here. Well, okay, so we're looking at the screen now. Oh, it looks like the phone died. Oh, crap. I did not have the phone plugged in. Sorry, y'all. I completely forgot to turn the phone on, but we'll keep the podcast going while the phone does decide to turn on. I forgot to put it on the charger. That's the big issue here. That's the big issue here. I get the money, the making the bag, I get all that, but it just doesn't sit. It just doesn't sit all the way right. And if it sits 100% right with you, then hey, God bless you. If you can look at this and see no problem, then God bless you. But these dudes, these guys looked at him like a god. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I've had jobs and I've been at places, and maybe because I have life experience that is exactly parallel to this, it just doesn't bother me. But it just bothers me. But I've had jobs where I made a lot of money. You know, I've had a job, not jobs. I've had a job where I made a ton of money. I mean a lot of money, y'all. But the trade-off for that was like damn near my freedom, I'll be honest. Because it like made me go crazy. It ended up being somewhere I was like, dude, you know what? This ain't even worth it, bro. Like, I'll go back to Taco Bell, go chill with Mike, go right back with Mike, and have my peace of mind at least. And I was dead serious. Like, I was making good money. But you know something? Since I was making good money, my boss knew that I needed that job. He knew that I had to have that job. I had built my lifestyle. I had built my legacy at that time. I had built everything around that job. So the second that the pressure started to become applied to my livelihood a little bit, it was like, hey, that's what kind of like showed me like, bro, it's much better to have my pennies that I can make independently versus the dollars that I could possibly make in a bad position. I'm not saying having a job is bad. I'm just saying that moving on to a certain aspect or taking that promotion or leaving the current job that you're at because this new employer said they would give you this amount of money. You know what I mean? It might not always be the answer. $30,000 does sound good. That promotion would be amazing if the job and the boss at your new job is as cool as the boss that you got at your current job. And I'm not telling you to move scared. That's not what I'm saying either. But I'm saying you do have to be cautious and truly balance out your options here. You know what I mean? I forget what color temperature this camera was at, but it's too late now. Hold on. I'm looking at the camera for a second. Anyways, you know what? We're probably going to go ahead and round this thing on out. I'm just going to end this thing because it's been long anyways. I've said what I need to say. I appreciate the new channel member there. I appreciate y'all for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We'll have edits of this coming up. I was going to do another live stream today. Man, there's still so much more I didn't even really talk about. I didn't even read from my manuscript at all, from my monologue. So I might end up covering this topic again, or maybe I'll just make a couple shorts out of it. But I don't know. You know, this was I don't know. I really felt this one for some reason. You know, I really felt this one because it just doesn't feel right, bro. I don't know. I do not know. I do not know. Anyways, I will see y'all in the very near future when I get the camera back on.